because of the high voltage politics that existed there. So it was very difficult to do the balancing act so that you are not seen by any other group that you are siding with the other. I did learn quite a lot when I was in Narok, especially from the elders, because the manner in which the society is organized. When they are dealing with disputes, they are very organized, and even the proceedings are very orderly. In fact, if you got a chance and sat there, you will think you are in the Supreme Court. They are very, very particular about the rules of doing those arbitration. I also had a chance to be a returning officer under the legal regime that existed, because district commissioners were returning officers. Actually, they were returning officers for every election. So it was challenging because of various reasons. Technology wasn't there. And of course, what you can notice even today, suspicion was there, because I mentioned politics or the kind of bipolar politics. So suspicion was also very high, to the extent that if you were to conduct or if you were to undertake an act, you made sure that you did it meticulously, because something will arise. You as much as possible, avoided an action that could raise suspicion. For instance, if you are reading figures, if you are not very careful, you will say 4 instead of 5, that will land you in the High Court because of the degree of suspicion. While I was in Narok, and I think this is of interest, that is when the government introduced the policy known as District Focus for Rural Development, a very wonderful policy, a strategy for development in the rural areas. And I remember very well that through my efforts and the efforts of the other officers, I designed an instrument that was used to monitor development, not only development, but also monitor other aspects of project management. For instance, the use of resources, especially money, and my district was the first one in Rift Valley, because this was my own innovation, and I was awarded the national honor of Silver Star of Kenya when I was there. I also, when I was there, witnessed a number of problems facing the local people, especially the clans. In Marsh Island, the clans are very, very strong. And once you have a boundary dispute, then you know you have a job to do. So I was able to handle landmark boundaries. I call them landmarks because some of them existed even from the colonial days. So from Narok, I moved to Kajiado as district commissioner. The terrain was more or less the same. Of course, there would be slight differences, but what they had in common is the issues of land disputes and also disputes related to group ranches, which I tried as much as possible to dissolve because of the complications that arose as a result of continued policy of having group ranches. From there, I moved to Isiolo. Isiolo was a district that has a lot of ethnic groups living together and from different cultural backgrounds. There are probably about 4 of those. And when disputes arose, whether they are disputes of boundaries, whether disputes on politics, you had to do your best to see how you can handle them, because after all, you are the district commissioner for all of them. So I learned how to balance when dealing with such land and other disputes that arose among the people who stayed there. Then from there, I moved to Tana River, was transferred there as a district commissioner, where I stayed for 5 years. Broke a record from the colonial days because the district, I think it is recently when things are changing. There was no electricity that time. We could not listen to radio. There was no reception. There was no news. There were no newspapers. So you had just to stay put in your house as you serve wananchi of that area. That district is very unique because it has several ethnic groups, quite a number, probably more than 6. Some are, of course, the majority, some are a minority. And of course, when you have a group like that, you have to deal with the attendant issues that arise, grazing rights and watering points. They are very common problems, and it is compounded by the fact that some ethnic groups are agriculturalists and others are pastoralists. Of course, the issue of interests sets in, so it is something that you do some kind of balancing. So I introduced irrigation schemes, not small scale, because there is a major project there called Bora Irrigation Scheme, which had a myriad of problems every now and then. So I introduced small-scale irrigation schemes for the people in a stretch of about 500 kilometers from Indian Ocean to up to Meru, where the boundary is. So we have clusters of irrigation schemes so that we could provide food for the people of Tana River. They hardly got famine relief like other areas, although they were in a dry area. We tried as much as we could. The issue of security also was an experience I acquired there, because there were either skirmishes between ethnic groups or problems arising from people crossing from the border. It is not far away from the international border. So we used to have those problems, and it was not very easy to deal with them because they affected the lives of people. They could attack a certain village, and from there, then they are displaced so that their livelihoods are affected. So it is something that we had to work very hard as a security committee and bring peace to the people. Then I think that I worked in various places also. The experiences are different, but I don't want to take a lot of time. Like I worked in Garissa as a deputy PC. I worked in and then in a central province as a deputy PC. Also, I learned the experiences of people, how they do their affairs and so on. So I had a very, very rich experience in the field, and when I look at the work of the Commission, my experiences are aligned to what the Commission does, because I have worked for the government close to 40 years, and in those years, about 80 to 90%, I was working very closely to the people. I connected with the people so that as I try to solve their problems, which are very, very unique problems. If you look at what I've described, that there are various ethnic groups living in a district like Tana River, Isiolo, then to balance the interest of this, it has not been very, very easy. And I see that if I get the work of a commissioner of IEBC, I think I'll bring that rich experience to the Commission, because the Commission actually, the first stakeholder or the first customer, if you may, people. And these are the people I've stayed with, or I know I can easily connect with them. Whether you're talking about civic education, whether you're talking about voter education, whether you are solving other problems. And I have worked with various politicians of all shades. So it is very easy for me. I will be quite at home if I'm at the IEBC, if I worked there. So that I can summarize my experiences, I moved to the headquarters. I worked as a senior deputy secretary in the Ministry of Transport. And the Ministry of Transport, you know, had problems of matatus when the late Michuki was minister there. I was his spanner boy. I'm the one who used to deal with matatus, discuss with them when they have gone on strike because of this condition and so on and so on. And while I was working at the ministry, I also campaigned for Kenya at the International Maritime Organization, because I was the person who was accredited to do that. I campaigned for Kenya to be in the executive committee of that UN body. And as a result, I was awarded the Order of Moran of the Burning Spear. So while I was still there, because I doubled, when I was a senior deputy secretary, I doubled as a director of shipping. We were able, with a committee that was formed, to establish the Kenya Maritime Authority. I was a key member there. Also, the Somali-Kenya boundary, I was there. I was in the committee that did the delimitation of the Somali-Kenya boundary. So I had also quite a experience. From there, I moved to the Public Service Commission, where I worked as a commissioner. I had the experience of dealing with not only recruiting the right staff for the country, but also we developed a policy, and I was a key member of that, of a formula on how to deal with the national diversity. We were able to give a chance even to people in Turkana, the Limoro, and others. And we were, I think, one of the first organizations to, when we publicized, we used to say that Public Service Commission is an equal opportunity organization, or Public Service Commission is an equal opportunity employer. And also, I was able to experience the conduct, that is, the area of integrity was developed when you are dealing with issues that involve either discipline or others. Then from there, from the Public Service Commission, I moved to, but while I was in the Public Service Commission, a few things also happened. I enrolled online, and I studied a master's degree and a doctorate. I was also requested by the government to assist the government in terms of advice. I was the key person identified by the government to help the government of South Sudan form the government. The initial notes that they used to form their government came from the team I was heading, because they were starting from scratch. It is not like other countries, even us, when we got independence. They were starting from scratch, so they did not know even how files are handled, how to classify files, how to employ people, and when you employ them, how do you establish the roles of various cadres so that there is no duplication. You will have, you are not careful, you will have the boss doing the work of the officer below him or her, or the other way around.
Dr. kindly, I would like to request that you summarize, please, yes, so that we are able to cover the ground we need to cover, yes, so that we are able to get the information we need from you. Please.
Thank you, Madam. So from there, the contract ended in 2009, and 2013, I stood for election as governor Kisi. I was not successful. And then after that, I was appointed to be a member of Nyumba Kumi. There is quite a lot I could talk about Nyumba Kumi, but basically it also gave me another chance to visit the rural areas and so on. So I think I'll leave it at that, Madam. So I'll be coming with a rich experience in dealing with wananchi.
Thank you so much, Daktari, and you'll get a chance to share from that experience as we ask our questions. Mm. Allow me just to ask a couple of questions of clarification.
Yes.
From your CV, you served at Public Service Commission from 2003 to 2009, is that right?
That's right, yes.
Were you serving on a full-time basis?
It was full-time, Madam.
Okay. Yes, so we had an opportunity to see your certificates for your master's MBA, that is Master of Business Administration.
Yes.
You graduated, you received this certificate on the 15th day of August, 2008.
Yes.
You were able to study while working full-time at the commission?
Yes, Madam, because it was a flexible kind of timetable.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and then actually 6 months later,
yes,
on 30th of January 2009, you then received your Doctor of Philosophy in Business Administration.
Yes.
So that was a bit curious. I know the kind of effort and time and sweat that goes into preparing and getting a PhD.
Yes.
So I'm curious to know how you managed to get yours in 6 months.
Yes, Madam. They had a very flexible timetable in the sense that it was even possible to almost do it spontaneously. But it had to be one after the other.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is while you're working?
Yes, this is while I was working.
So maybe you can share with us the topic of research that you did for your PhD?
Yes.
Yes, what was the research about?
The topic, Madam, was not very difficult for me because it was provincial administrations, the options and the future of provincial administration in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah, because actually I'd written a book on that. I didn't mention that. I'd even written a book, so it is something that I was ready for, actually.
All right.
Yeah.
So is this thesis available somewhere where we can perhaps access it?
Yes, it is. I can, not maybe online, but I could avail it
Okay.
if it is required.
All right.
Yes.
And yeah, just to inform you that when we went online,
Yes.
we found that this university is unaccredited and is registered in the British Virgin Islands. I don't know if you are aware of that?
When I enrolled, it was enrolled in Delaware.
Okay.
And the reason why I got an interest is that the degrees are notarized, which means the government is aware of its activities, even if they did not comment about the contents of that. And the reason they said was that they did not want to do the conventional way. They had not applied for accreditation at that time. I don't know whether they have done.
Okay.
Yes.
So at no time did you didn't have to go physically to the where the university is?
No, madam, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
yeah,
like
it mentions it's a cyberspace university. Oh. Okay. One more question from me.
Yes.
Are you a registered voter?
I am, madam.
Where did you vote in the last election?
In Kisi Motonto polling station, madam.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'll now ask Mr. Morris Kimuli to ask you a few questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. Daktari, nitakuuliza maswali machache tu kwa sababu muda wetu unaonekana umeenda sana.
Shukuru.
Ulipata fursa ya kuhudumu kama mkuu wa wilaya na pia ukapanda ngazi ukawa mkuu wa mkoa ingawaji kwa muda mfupi.
Yeah, mfupi, yes.
Na wakati huo umesema kwamba wakuu wa wilaya ama ile ilikuwa provincial administration ndio walikuwa wanapigisha kura kama returning officers. Na ningependa tushughulike sana na 1988 wakati wa mfumo ule wa kupiga kura wa mlolongo. Ulihusika?
Ndio, kwa sababu nilikuwa district commissioner. Nilikuwa mkuu wa wilaya wakati huo, kwa hivyo nilihusika kabisa.
Na kwa wakati huo kulikuwa na mfumo wa usajili wa wapiga kura?
Yeah, ndio.
Walikuwa wanasajiliwa na nani na kivipi?
Tulikuwa tunahusika kama wakuu wa wilaya kwamba kulikuwa na eneo lile la kuandikisha watu lilikuwa linatangazwa, alafu watu wanaandikishwa katika kwenye zile eneo ambao zimetangazwa. Yeah.
Na kwa hivyo mkija pale kwa mlolongo, watu wakiwa pale foleni, mlikuwa mnahakikisha kivipi ni nani amefika kupiga kura, ni nani hajafika, ni nani ametumana, ni nani hajatumana?
Ya, kwa kusema kweli ilikuwa mfumo ambao haukuwa mzuri na uambatani haswa ukiangalia na ile ambayo inatakikana kama ukilinganisha na wakati wa sasa. Ilikuwa tu watu wanaandikishwa katika register, wanakuwa na electors card na vitambulisho vyao.
Na ukiangalia sasa, ukirejelea sheria iliyomo wakati huu, utaona kwamba kuna vipengee kadhaa katika katiba letu ambazo zina tofautiana sana na ule mfumo uliokuwa wakati huo. Kwa kifupi tu, ungeweza kusema, ukirejelea katiba iliyoko, ungeweza kusema ni tofauti gani zilizoko ukiangalia wakati huu na wakati ule? Na unaweza jibu kwa Kizungu, Kimombo.
Hata kwa Kiswahili ukipenda nitaweza. Tofauti iliyoko, but sijui ungependa nizungumze kwa.
You can speak in English.
In English. Asante sana. So there is quite a lot of difference in that, because right from registration, right now we have the biometric. We never used to have that. Okay? Now, and right now, when you are voting, you don't need an elector's card. You can use your ID cards. That is one of the differences that exist. In other words, the degree of identification and the stages you follow are much more secure than what we used to have. That time it was just the elector's card. Somebody uses a rule like this, it takes your name. But now we have a biometric, which you do. And also another difference is it used to be different ballot papers. Okay? In other words, we now have a situation whereby you are given the 6 ballot papers at once.
So, Basi,
Yes.
if you look at how were results transmitted in 1988?
1988, the results were transmitted what I'll call manually through the phone. And sometimes the phone is not there. You used to get a runner to take the results.
Simu unasema ni ile ya kuzungusha.
Ni ile ya kuzungusha sasa. So kwa hivyo eneo nyingi Kenya, we never used to have efficient telephone services. So in fact, in most cases and by and large, it was just physical.
It was physical?
Yes.
So how are our results transmitted today?
Today, they're transmitted electronically. Like if it is in the case of the president, you have Form 34A from the polling station, which goes direct to the National Tallying Center, and the other one goes to the tallying center, the county. That is 34B.
Sheila,
Okay. You also mentioned in your
Salama, Ahmed Salama,
that you have served
mwalimu huyo wa
as
shikadabu namuona,
pension scheme for Posta, and you
Maimuna
also were
na
the
Kushe.
chair of the elections committee.
hao ndio
And you said
viongozi ambao
that you
tunashikilia Mombasa pamoja.
electronic.
Pale nje yuko
elections.
Mishi,
How was
Ashu,
that done?
That
Shebesh,
is a very interesting
Fatuma
case,
Gedi ambaye tutawapatia nafasi baadaye.
Hey kids, welcome to Kids on the Block. Every Saturday we give you entertainment and education all in one. From science, art wild, storytelling and fun time. We play, dance and learn all in one day. Join us every Saturday and don't miss the fun from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
to
A
access
vigorous
education.
soap opera about two lovers fighting against their relentless fate, which opposes them in the heist of murder, lies, betrayal, and secrets of those who claim to love them. Sylvia and Bruno Alvarado will do whatever it takes to get rid of anyone who interferes with their plans. The paths of Maya and Alberto cross under a devastating storm.